Okay, so new Star Wars show, Maul Shadow Lord. I honestly I didn't know much about this show. I didn't even watch a trailer for it. I just okay, new Star Wars show. It's out. Let's look into it.
Mhm.
I know we've talked about me and you, Daniel. We've talked about Star Wars before multiple times. So episodes 1 and 2. How are you kind of feeling about this new show?
Yeah, I mean, so far I'm really happy with it. So going into it, like I knew they were doing a mall show. I was like, that's cool, but I think we all have a little bit of hesitation when we hear that there's a new villain-led show because the last time that happened was the Book of Boba Fett, which was really bad, and he was not a villain at all. And since they introduced like an actual like hero foil for Maul, even though Maul's the protagonist, there's like actual good characters around him, which makes it a lot more interesting because they let him actually just be a bad guy. He might be a hero in as much as he's fighting against the Empire, but he's very much a murderous crime boss who is running a crime empire, and I'm glad that they did that.
Yeah, and something I kind of thought about with the show, the thing that Star Wars always I wouldn't say it necessarily a crutch, but the thing that they can always rely on is that you always have that 19-year gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, so you can tell so many stories within that too. And the one thing I kind of thought about with this show is, well, for one, the animation, I can
Hmm.
definitely tell the budget has been upped on that, just how fresh it looks. I mean, with those type of shows, especially with that Clone Wars style animation, I've never really had much of a problem with that style, honestly. I think it works, especially for Star Wars too. It makes it stand out from other type of animated shows. And one thing I am always curious about too is how Maul's character is going to be over time because
Hmm.
you had Maul, which he was a cool character in the Phantom Menace, but he didn't have much depth to him. He had the mystery element, just like Boba Fett had, which I'm gonna say this might be controversial, but I've always kind of viewed Boba Fett as an overrated character because I feel like his
Oh,
mystique
that's
is
fair.
he was driven by mystique, honestly, which I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I've never
He
been
was
a big fan of
the same
Boba.
thing as Captain Phasma, where it's just character and cool armor. We swear it's important, and then they flesh him out a lot in like books and comics and stuff.
Yeah.
Between the '90s and now. But like there really wasn't anything to the character in like in the actual like broad scale media people know about.
Yeah. And then kinda going back to Maul in that sense, we got more depth with him in the Clone Wars, and I like how that's kinda carrying on with what's going on in this show too, where he's trying to
Hmm.
get his syndicate back up in order. He's going after people who wronged him, from previous events too. The biggest thing I kind of cling on to is how kinda like how they're gonna push this show in terms of the storyline where you centered around a villain, and you don't wanna root for Maul, but you find him so intriguing because of his characterization, and the biggest thing that stands out to me is him thinking he's gonna get an apprentice, him sensing he's gonna get an apprentice, and then you introduce Devin into the story. So
Hmm.
their dynamic is what I'm most looking forward to in this show. I don't know if it's necessarily a situation where she fully embraces the dark side in the traditional way that we might think, but you might
I
see her.
am really curious to
Yeah,
see that. Yeah.
because like, I feel like she might kind of embed some of that mall philosophy into it.
Hmm.
I'm trying to find another show that's a good comparison to where you have the villain and then you have, like, the philosophy of it too. I'm trying to find the show. I can't really find I'm thinking of a
Oh,
show, but it's kind of escaping me, but it kinda reminds me of
I mean,
something
even
I think
like
some
the finale of Fallout Season 2, like the villain has a pretty good point, honestly. Um, so like I do love whenever a bad guy has a good argument. It's obviously the wrong answer. Like it can't be the right, otherwise he should be the hero. But if it's like, no, hang on, he's kind of spitting facts. He's just doing it a little wrong. Like that's what makes the most compelling of villains.
Yeah, and also the fact that even how he interacts with other characters too, how he tends to be
Hmm.
he has a plan, which I like how methodical he is, and to kind of bring up I know we talked about this before we did the recording, but I had to watch the interview that Sam Witwer did about the show, and he mentioned how Maul's philosophy is kind of influenced by the fact that Palpatine was essentially a father figure to him, So you kind of see how the Empire has risen and how that stirs something up in Maul because you see the impact of Palpatine. Of course, we're in the age of the Empire. You could even see it
Hmm.
too with Lawson, where he doesn't want the Empire to get involved. He wants to handle this too, and the fact
Yeah.
that the ISB, shout out to the ISB being mentioned again, the ISB has Maul on the instant report list too.
Yeah.
So I like how I always like those little tie-ins too with that as well. I would imagine that we don't necessarily. I mean, I wouldn't expect an Emperor Palpatine appearance so soon. Maybe some
I would
mention.
hope not at
Yeah,
most of the finale, but like I really like when sometimes the threat is not that big yet. Like we
yeah,
already know the Inquisitors are showing up from the promo materials. Like I kind of like it if the Inquisitors were the highest it goes. Um, I do really like Lawson as a character. Like Lawson is really fun because he's, you know, there is a cop or a peacekeeper, but he's a more like realistic grounded one that knows when he has to kind of skirt the law for the betterment of people, and I think it just kind of creates a more nuanced and interesting heroic character.
yeah. And then even on top of that too, the fact that you mentioned the nuance and the fact that okay, he's willing to talk to some friends in some lower places to get the job done, just like Obi-Wan did too. For those who want to
Mhm.
go ahead and say Obi-Wan did the same thing too, but that's how it happens sometimes in the Star Wars universe. How you have to take the more discreet route to go get some information too. And what's your thoughts on the other Jedi, who I guess is seemingly is Devon's her master? I guess,
Yeah, hang on,
yeah.
I got his name. It was Master Iko Dio Daki.
Mm,
I really like him. He's just a cool. I don't know what species he's supposed to be, but like small lizard guy with a staff. Uh, I was expecting him to immediately get turned in because he used the Force, but they kind of played it like Devin or like Lawson doesn't quite know about the Force as much. I was expecting it to be like, oh, this is an Empire guy and he sees the Force and now he's got to decide, do I report this or not? I'm really curious to see how he plays out. 100% he's going to die. I think we all know that. Like he's a mentor character
mm.
for a heroine who is being pulled between light and dark. His death is like a canon moment for all
Jedi.
hero tempted by the dark side moments. So I would imagine she's not or he's not going to be long for life here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of too, especially if because they're teasing it and they're setting up that him and Maul are gonna have another run into, especially with Devin in the picture too. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
situation where, I mean, Devin basically kind of got released in a way where she finds her way out in the world and she has that maybe that philosophical clash with with her Jedi Master, and then
Mhm.
maybe that makes her want to go see what Maul's methods are too. Especially, it's kind of very tempting time too, especially in the Age of the Jedi where they're the hunted, and we've seen in different other media too how each Jedi has to cope with that trauma of Order
Mhm.
66. I mean, we see it in Obi-Wan too. For those who played the Star Wars Jedi game, you see it with Cal Kestis and Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. You see that too.
Oh
You
yeah.
see with Ahsoka too as well. So you've seen it in different types of media. So we're gonna see another example of this too, and I hope they make it in a way unique to her and keeping it the theme of the show. And I like the Pike Syndicate elements of the show. And I like the crime boss elements too, especially with
Yeah.
Vario and Demas too, how they have that meeting there to kind of Star Wars version, like a Godfather type moments, a mafia moment too. And Demas is blaming Vario. And it's because Maul stirred up trouble in the beginning, which that was a great way to open the show, by the way. That was a great way to
Yes.
open
No,
that
and
first
it
episode.
established Maul as a dangerous ruthless person. Yeah, I loved the opening. I like how it's been establishing kind of the criminal underworld so far. Um, I'm just definitely curious to see where things go. And we got plenty of fun droids in this too so far
Yeah.
between the like murderous spy bot and Two Boots, who's like the law enforcement droid. Like it's a fun cast. The cast has been doing really well so far. Both episodes played really well into establishing characters. I am really excited to see where things go because they're definitely setting Devin up to be the like main emotional focal point, and we haven't had enough other than just her introduction because it's just the first two episodes. But if they can play it well, like this is looking to be a good, solid Star Wars show so far.
Yeah, and also too, I kind of want to know your thoughts too on kind of like that chasing too through that underworld area. What were your thoughts on kind of like how that chasing, how that was went about, how that was sequenced, especially from getting Vario, breaking Vario out, and then having that whole set piece there.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like the tight quarters and like the ladder and stuff. It was a very fun set, and we haven't seen a fight like that a whole lot in Star Wars, other than like your standard Death Star like hallway battle. So that's probably the closest thing you can compare it to, but it's a little more claustrophobic. I enjoyed how it's set up for the like main characters to all kind of converge into one scene. I thought it was a great just overall set piece for a finale, and then the like car chase, speeder bike, truck, whatever chase
Mhm.
was also a fun scene of watching just the Mandalorians and Maul just mess up a bunch of other Pike Syndicate goons and messing with the like money shipments. It was fun watching that and then watching the cops chase after him. Uh, just good action scenes that served a purpose. It wasn't like they were just action scenes for the sake of action. Like they all furthered the story in fun ways, and they had fun choreography.
Yeah, and I liked how fluid Maul's motions were with the lightsaber too.
Oh
And
yeah,
that I like how fluid that was, especially it reminds me of when he fought Ahsoka in the Clone Wars season 7.
yeah.
And
They definitely played into like the Clone Wars level of really violent movements, but just censoring the most gruesome parts. And I do appreciate that because Maul is supposed to be like he's supposed to be really scary, so it's cool seeing them let him be scary.
yeah, and yeah, that's what I was also kind of teasing at too earlier is how they can, because the show is TVPG, we see it I see it on the top left. So kind of how they can keep it within that TVPG format, which kind of interesting too, because even the Clone Wars is TVPG, but even looking as an adult, it's kind of like it's interesting how they kind of kept it in that PG frame, especially with some of the stuff going
Oh
on
yeah.
in it too. And it's also another thing too, where especially with how Maul is in his own way, he's growing his connection with the Force. That
Yeah.
that's his that's the another aspect of the show I'm looking forward to seeing is his development in the Force, and of course with the dark being using the dark side, of course, but like how his own development is too, and how that differs from like the traditional Sith pathway of using the
Mhm.
Force. That's another aspect that I'm looking forward to seeing, and again, Lawson, like we see the relationship with Lawson and his, he can't really spend that much time with his son because of his job and things like that. And it's kind of the opposite of what we saw in Andor with Cyro, Cyro and his mom. Like that's the opposite of that. Like here's a healthier parent-child
Mhm.
dynamic in Star Wars because we don't get to see that too prominently in Star Wars in the mainstream. So his
Yeah.
so but I might be speaking too soon. There's probably gonna be some drama with that. It's only the first 2 episodes. We still got more to go in this season, so maybe I'm speaking too soon on that. But it's nice to see that bit of a contrast there and
Mhm.
seeing how this stuff. But I think it was a solid first 2 episodes. Definitely lays the scene, and the fact that they don't waste time building the plot is what I tend to appreciate about these type of shows, especially with the shorter runtime too. They don't waste a whole lot of time trying to get you to. It's not rushed, but they don't. They're
Yeah.
not taking several episodes to set up like what is this show about? Like from like I mentioned from the beginning of the first scene of the
Yeah.
episode, the first episode.
As I mentioned with the combat, but like also just even the standard talking scenes, like every scene serves a purpose to further the story, which is important. It's not it definitely didn't feel as dragged out or like slow as some of the Mando episodes. Like I remember I think each time an episode ended, I was like, oh dang it, like that's the end of the episode. I gotta start the next one.
Yeah,
And then when it came to the end of episode two, I couldn't do that because episode three's not out yet. But
yeah,
I thought it was great so far.
yeah, and yeah, it definitely makes me curious to see how this is going to progress moving forward too. And it looks it's looking to be a solid show. I would say. I
Mhm.
would say so too. I mean, when it comes to Star Wars animated sides of things, I've always, especially in recent times, I've had more confidence in the live action side of things. But hopefully we can get the live action side back up to where it should be, especially with I know we got the Mandalorian Grogu coming out. Yeah, next month
Mhm.
actually. Then we have that Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie coming out, which I'm actually more intrigued by that, especially seeing how his performance was in Project Hail Mary. I'm definitely more intrigued by that Star Wars movie that Ryan Gosling's going to be in. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, especially within they have new direction too. I know Dave Filoni is taking over the creative side of Lucasfilm too.
Yeah, I
So
hope he can land it because he does great with the animated shows, but his live action shows so far have uh they definitely kind of get stale after a certain point. So like I'm hoping he can do well, if he's got full control. I'm hoping he can kind of properly make a series, then it's not like Mando seasons 3 and 4,
Yeah, and
or I guess just season 3.
kind of be willing to like kind of push Star Wars further and take those because think about to kind of take more of those risks too. Like because one thing I
Yeah.
think about too is when we talked about this show and Andor, for example, I think that
Oh
was a
yeah.
great example of like it's not your typical Star Wars show, but
Very different
that's the
in a
type of
very refreshing way.
exactly and very poignant too, with the topics that he talks about and the fact that
Yeah.
you could
And
show
ridiculously relevant to the modern day in a lot
yeah.
of scary ways that it predicted all these things.
Yeah, it's kinda like even rewatching it too, you kinda get those elements of it, and it's something that you could you it's something where here's where I think is the best it's kinda like it reminds me of kinda like A/B testing, but I think the best way you can test a show or series or whatever, if you show it to someone who may not necessarily be the quote unquote "target audience" or a fan of said franchise, could they click with it? I think Andor is the Star Wars version of that. I mean, to be in my personal opinion the Rogue One slash Andor stuff with those characters, that element, that's been the best stuff that Disney has done with the live action. I think the best live action Disney Star Wars film has been Rogue One, actually,
Hmm.
and liking how they continue on with that. So I kind of see want to see more of that with Star Wars too, because I know unfortunately, they've had some hits and misses over the past few years. I mean,
Certainly.
I didn't watch it, but The Acolyte was a miss by the metrics. The Acolyte was a
Yeah,
miss.
I've
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard it had like some cool things, but a lot of it was just a little either like cringe or just not fully like established. I didn't see it. I heard pretty good things honestly from most
Yeah.
people I knew.
Yeah.
But then I got to hear about like some of the dialogue choices or like just the overall production choices, and is like Manny Jacinto, great villain, all that, and then everything else seemed like they were trying to go too hard into like, well, what if the Jedi were the bad guys? And it's like, dog, they are the bad guys. We've established this. The Clone
Yeah.
Wars happened.
Yeah. The Clone Wars, the George Lucas prequel trilogy established the Jedi as being complacent. And that's kind of ties back into what I want Maul to do more of is to kind of explore different aspects of the Force. Because one of my favorite aspects of Star Wars is Force theology, for lack
Mhm.
of a better term, Force theology.
No, it's
That,
it's
the,
very grounded in kind of religious terminology,
yeah,
so I would say it's
yeah.
accurate.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm looking forward to and seeing kind of how that ties into the Shadow Collective, how that ties into the Pikes and more of the Syndicates too. And
Hmm.
I just love seeing different types of species in Star Wars again. It's just like you get used to it, but it's also I have to remind myself it's like an appreciation aspect of it too. And so
Yeah,
I
and
like
that's what's really fun with animation too, is they can go in on like
mm,
some of the weirder species, like the Alina or whatever, which was the what Dario was, or Vario.
yeah. Vario's he kind of cracks me up a bit. I'm not gonna lie. Vario cracks me up,
Hmm.
especially with how he operates too. Like I know he's short. Yes, he's short. That kind of ties into the humor. I'm not gonna lie. But Vario, I like how he
He
has
also
like
had like the cool robot suit. Like he was just a fun character.
yeah, and Demas had to go. Demas had to go.
Hmm.
But it goes to that tension and the anxiety those crime bosses feel. It's different down there where they're at. So yeah, I definitely like how it's all shaping up overall and just looking forward to how these next episodes go. I mean, hopefully they can keep that consistency too. It kind of if they can kind of keep a consistent string, I think it can definitely be up there for the animated shows that Disney has produced too. Um, it kind of it kind of reminds me how the start of Bad Batch season one was, how it kind of had that consistent start too, and Bad Batch was able to get a few seasons out of it too, and kind of continue to get an audience too. So I think this could be a
Yeah. Do we
show.
know? Do we know? Did they say it was only gonna be one season, or if they left it open ended?
Yeah, they from what I've heard, they haven't really said either way. Honestly, I mean, why not if it's good, why not make it a multi-season show because it's only the
Hmm.
first season's only going to be like 10 episodes. This isn't like
Yeah.
this isn't like back in the Clone Wars days where you're getting 20 plus episodes a season. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. My main question is just like, by the end of the eighth or 10th episode or whatever of this season, like, are they caught up to where then Maul finds Kenobi and Rebels, and we then know what happens, or
yeah.
like kind of how do we get there and stuff?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. because I don't. At least, I mean, maybe they did say something beforehand, but I don't know where exactly. I mean, I know the general time frame when the show is placed, but I don't know how exactly how many years is placed between certain events in the timeline too. Maybe they did say it and I just didn't know about it. But I'm wondering about that too as well. And so, but yeah, so looking at it here, the notes here, yeah, 10 episodes in the first season, and they're gonna release 2 episodes each week, until
That's good. I like that
until
pacing.
oh yeah, until May 4th. Yep, May 4th, Star Wars Day. Yep. Until
That's
May
good.
4th. So yeah, yeah. So yeah. And I mean, hey, I mean, we gotta mention Sam Witwer. I mean, hey, he is
Always iconic. I would love to
yes,
see him get to play Star Killer at least in like a Star Wars Visions or like
yes,
if they could
yes.
do Clone Wars animation style on Legends stories, like just as a non-canon, like hey, let's have fun looking at some of these non-canonical characters that people loved. Like that would be so much fun to just see happen.
Yeah. I hope they find a way to make Star Killer canon, honestly, because there is you can't make him how he was in the Force Unleashed games. You
He's
can't.
just too overpowered.
Yeah. But I think Sam said one time that the I guess the most reasonable way you could make Star Killer like exist in the current canon would be make him an Inquisitor, which that would make sense. He would have to be an Inquisitor. But yeah, I mean, Sam, I like Sam's like that's why I kind of have faith in the show because I know how Sam is about Star Wars and how he takes it seriously too,
Hmm.
and he's just not going to go along with this just anything. That's what I like about Sam, and I even saw Sam in person one time because I went to last year I went to Rebel ScumCon.
Oh,
Rebel
nice.
ScumCon. So I
Yeah,
might
I know
go.
the guys who run that.
So yeah, yeah, and I might go again. I'm probably gonna go and get it this year too, honestly. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I should stop by. It sounds like fun, and they got a huge presence. I saw they're gonna get what is it? They've got like Denise Go and what's his name? The guy who plays Cyril.
I forgot his name, but I know he's gonna be there too.
Kyle Soller, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, the two of them are gonna be there, and like I feel like they're the perfect Star Wars celebrities because they play iconic characters, but they're not A-list movie stars, and they're iconic from that role specifically. So like they have a lot of reverence and love for the media because they played well-written characters. They did a good job playing them. They're not like hated characters either, like any of
yeah.
the other shows that haven't done well. So like it's I think just the right balance of like good show, fun characters, actors aren't big enough that you could like actually have interesting conversations and stuff.
Yeah, and also fun fact, when I went to Rebel ScumCon last year, I went on the Sunday. I was in the audi Katie Sackhoff, she has a podcast and she recorded a special episode of the podcast and I was in the audience for it. And she had the actor who plays she plays one of the Mandalorian, the guild person. I forgot her character's name, but I think it's basically like kind of the guild master type character from the Mandalorian. The armor, that's her name, the armor.
Oh yeah,
The
yep.
actor from the armor, she interviewed her, and I think she had a few other people who were Mandalorians on there too. So that was pretty cool.
Hmm.
See that kind of be interacting with that in that space too.
Yeah, TV actors and voice actors are the most fun because they usually don't have too big of an ego. They're just people who work in the industry that are cool people you can talk to.
So, so yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, looking forward to more Maul Shadow Lord. Hopefully they keep that consistently, and we'll see where it takes us.